Milanisti everywhere. Hey, how's it going? It's your host Shane from the Milanista 360 podcast with his colleague Husney. We need to introduce someone very special and near and dear to us today that's joined us. His name is Coach Nico. Has a lot of experience in the game. Obviously, we've had him on as a guest previously, but we're looking to kind of hook up. Just on a casual basis, we're not going to make the relationship serious for a while until we know it works out, and then we'll do all the cool things like update our shared Facebook status and all that junk. No, joke. But yeah, glad to have you, Nico, man.
Thanks for having me on, fellas.
Sure, man.
Welcome, Nico.
So I guess Husney, let's start with you, man. How was the week? And
the week's been the week's been good compared to some of the other weeks. I guess when we have a win within the week, then there's something to celebrate because we'll take the points wherever we can get them and onto the road of trying to finish the season the best way possible, because everyone knows that we probably won't be winning what we really wanted, and that would be the second star. But whatever wins we can get, happy as they come. How about you, Nico? You've had a good week?
Yeah, not a bad week. I mean, obviously that 4-2 win was okay. Obviously, I'm not extremely happy with the result, just the way we played. But listen, we're in with a 2-goal lead going into the second leg. It's going to be a tough game, that second leg. For that Slavia Praha, they're going to come prepared, and it's going to be a tough game. But overall, good week, not too bad.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Well, so we have next is actually the just for us to review what's happened the week that, as everyone mentioned, the game against Slavia Prague. As expected, tends to be quite an interesting game. We know what happened in the game before that, and which we recapped in the previous episode. But it was high scoring. 6 goals, 4 to us, 2 to them. And of course, 2-goal lead going into the next leg. Shane, what were your thoughts about the game, and how would you sum up our performance?
Yeah, so full disclosure, I didn't watch this game. So my whole opinion of this game was formed by about a minute and a half worth of highlights on YouTube that I found. Unfortunately, just had some other stuff going on in RL. So from what I've seen though, the goals were all like very scrappy. Like they seemed to be like half shots that were that we were very fortunate with, that they were either kind of nodded in or tapped in after the fact. The Sparta Prague or Slavia Prague. So Slavia Prague goals as well. While the 2 shots were very well taken, I think one shot, the first goal, that was it Dudera in the 36th minute, right? I think, to be fair, from what I'd seen, there's not so much that you could really do about it. It was just a good shot. The second one, though, Schranz on 65 minutes, looked very much due to suspect defending, and he just had too much time. He did take the goal very well, though. Especially the way that the goals were kind of scored, we still weren't really safe until the 85th minute. It's like that's a very concerning thing, full respect to Slavia Prague. I think they're second in the Czech league, if I understand correctly, or at least they were.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, so they're not a bad team by any means, but to be really, if we're going to start talking about ourselves as realistic contenders for the Europa League title, if Slavia Prague can cut us open quite easily. God help us against the likes of Liverpool or Frankfurt. So yeah, that being said, that's kind of my 3 cents from the game. I guess over to you, Nico. Did you watch it? What did you think of it?
I watched it. I was working from home, so I had it streaming on my personal laptop. So what I've noticed, and I mean, a lot of people not mention this, maybe a few people, not enough. If you realize in the first half, before we scored goals, they had 2 really good opportunities, and they missed them. If it would have been any other team, if it would have been, say, I don't know, Liverpool, Bayern, Leverkusen, any team with more clinical strikers or players, they would have scored on us. That would have changed the complexion of the game completely. Imagine being down 1-0 in San Siro in the first half. We would have scored 4 goals after that. I don't think so. It would have been a tight game. It might have been like one of those games where it's 1-1 going into the 90th minute. Who knows? It changes the complexion of the game. They would have put those goals behind the net. So in those 2 other goals that we gave up, the first one sure was a banger. Maybe we could have closed somebody out. Second goal, and we'll get to that. Was another goal from a set piece that we're giving up due to poor man marking, communication, right? Again. And that wasn't Mike's fault. If you saw the replay, and I shared it on, I grabbed a screenshot of I recorded that play. I shared it on a couple chats on WhatsApp. If you see the replay, Mike took the right spot. He covered the near post like you should have. He did the right thing with the right technique as a keeper coming out, putting his hand up, and the ball was shot with so much pace, it went over his hand. There's nothing he can do about it. But then you have a lot of fans blaming Mike again. Why? It's not Mike's fault that we have these quality shots that we're giving up are a lot. We're not giving up these poorly quality shots. We're giving up shots right in front of goal where Mike doesn't have a really good chance of blocking these shots or saving them.
That's a fair point, Nico. There's something fairly similar I'd noticed. The same thing happened with Leao. Thankfully, Leao's gone on a bit of a scoring run, right? But the amount of fans that were calling for him to be sold, even though he was assisting in nearly every game, they're the same types of fans, I think, for the most part, that are, they're any goal that we concede now is, that's kind of, they're putting that on Mike. It's
we've been spoiled, Shane. In the past, we've been spoiled because he's made these Superman saves, right, for us. You're not going to make those saves every single year. He's still one of the top 3 keepers in the world, by far.
I have a question for both of you, and this has to do not just with this game, but the previous game as well. So this is 2 games in a row where we've had numerical superiority. So Slavia, I don't know, Prague or Praha as you pronounce them, they actually got a man sent off in the 26th minute. So we played the majority of this match with an extra player. But I just have a question for both of you. Do you think that's actually maybe worse for us with our defensive frailty? That okay, if the opposing team goes down a man, they turn into the cornered animal, and they tend to become a lot more aggressive, which we could say it's offsetting what we're trying to achieve or what Pioli game's plan is, whatever that is. I don't know what his game plan is, and I'm just not seeing it on pitch. But what do you guys think? Maybe Nico, you take this one first.
Hey, I'll take it, sure. That's an issue. I don't know what it seems like we're always playing with a man down the last couple games, right? It's been last 2 games, I think.
Yeah, 2 games we played.
It looks like we're playing with the man down. And that goes to going into being prepared too mentally as a team. That falls on the coaching staff. And there's no leaders on the pitch. Like, we have captains, right? There was a captain. What is he doing? We have leadership. We have Kair. He's an experienced player. Somebody's got to take charge and get the team in order, get them together, and Because this, like I said, it's an issue with the team. If we're a man up at home in front of 75,000 fans, with the Curvas singing, with the tifos, we should be playing a lot more intense. We should be taking that game to them, and it shouldn't have been that tight of a game at all. Even there was no need for it, because even after the game, I think their coach came out and said, like, yeah, we played great. He had so much confidence coming out of the game. Even their players, and what were our players doing after the game? They looked like we lost the game, right? I think was it Pulisic came out and said we didn't play well.
I think the coach actually came out and said something along the lines of, "I'm relatively confident that we can beat this team in the second leg."
Yeah, and I believe it. Yeah, we only have a 2-goal lead. That's it. It's not much, and knowing Pioli, he's not going to go in. I don't have confidence he's going to go with the right tactics in the second leg to play to play for the tie.
And it's just even the. Don't get me wrong. I'll never complain when we score 4 goals, but it's like it.
No.
In terms of the quality of the goals as well, like, I mean, if you look at the Giroud goal, I mean, it was kind of like he was for, like, again, credit to Giroud, right? Showed a huge predator's instinct there to be on the end of that. It looked like it was kind of a shot from Leao, right? And then he just got there and he headed it in. But, you know, there was a few of those goals that they were very fortunate. So you're kind of asking yourself a question of, you know, would we, like, there's, I'd be highly surprised that we, you know, if we're going to be playing against this team with, like, and they have 11 players and they do the same job against us at their home ground. I mean, I couldn't see us, you know, I couldn't see us winning. I mean, a draw might be realistic if we get our skates on, but, like, it's not a good look. And the quality, like, we should have far more quality than that team does.
But going in, let's look at the trend, right? And Husney, I'm sure you. I mean, we've all watched enough games this season to understand how we're scoring goals. We're not scoring goals as a team. There's no team goals. There's very few of them. Most of the goals. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that. In terms of the attacking output, or maybe seeing the flow of the games, it was a lot more visible. I wouldn't even say last season, but the season before that, you know, when we were winning the Scudetto, you could probably see in terms of how the build-up is going. But one major complaint that I've had last season, and still the same thing this season, our build-up to me is confusing. Yeah, so it takes a while for our midfielders to pull up. This is what I'm seeing. There's a lot of hesitancy. This is why we pass back. A lot of that does seem natural, but I just don't like it when I think that there's an opportunity, but it seems to be that we tend to play more cautious, and we have enough players to exploit things. For example, like a breakthrough, or, like, you know, have that clever pass. We have that quality, but I just don't see it enough, and I don't know why. But yeah, it's down to training, down to team instructions, down to maybe the form of the players.
I think it goes down to the tactic. That's whatever the coach is going through during the week. What's the training like during the week or during the season? I mean, there were some stats I saw yesterday. I was looking at, like, the build-ups, how many times we built up and actually scored versus, say, all right, Inter, all right, let's go, because they're our rival, and the gap is so much wider. And they just visually look at Inter's game. Look how many times they've scored from good buildups in the back. All right, even against Atleti, which is they're not having the best season, but they're known for a good pressing, right? Atleti, and they just run through these teams consistently. And they don't have better quality players than us. They're just a better prepared team.
I agreed. Like that point,
They can break the press. They can break the press. It's like because they're set up to break it.
They're a unit. We're not a unit where individual players rely on Leao doing something occasionally.
I so support your comment, like 1,000,000%, particularly about the players. So, and I've always said that, and I'll keep repeating myself. Yeah, if you look at some of the Inter players, I wouldn't take them anywhere near our club. They got players like Acerbi, Alexis Sanchez. It's a collection of has-beens and all. And I won't say that they're like the best depth, the best players who have graced the game. No, it's just that they are better prepared, better coached,
Yeah,
and
way better
that's
coach.
just
And
pretty much it, isn't it?
they believe in what their coach is telling them. They believe in the coach. They believe in the philosophy, his tactics, and they're playing together. They're 11 players on the same like wavelength, right?
But how does he build them? Because if you see, and this is okay, Milanistas 360 is not an interpraise channel, but for me personally, I'm a little bit envious of the things that they have managed to achieve. Yeah, if you talk about building the cohesion, they have the cohesion to actually win them. You wouldn't say it's large enough trophies, but yeah, they've won the Copa. Isn't that a start? I mean, we can't do that. Yeah, we won the
I mean,
Scudetto, and
listen,
that's about it.
yeah, listen, I know, and some people out there going to say, well, Inzaghi's been with them longer. He's had a longer time with these players than Pioli because we have a lot of new players. But with that being said, yeah, we have a new players compared to Inter. We're integrating more players this season. But if you look at it from a whole, we've had the whole season. It's not like this is the beginning of the season. We just started Serie A, or we've been together. This team has been together since last summer. Most of the players. We've had all that time to all these training sessions, all these preseason games to get it down. Yeah, we've had injuries, sure, but most of them have been defensively, right? Majority of the injuries, except for Benny. But you have these players on the field consistently. You have Ali consistently playing on the field. You have Tijani who's got a ton of minutes. Are we seeing improvements from these players? Yeah, a little bit, but not enough. I mean, Tijani scored a goal and Ali's improving, but where's that midfielder to actually take the ball from the back and create opportunities for us? We don't have it.
I just think it's that difference between, like it's the difference between ready-made and just built for success right now versus planning for it and then hoping that all the players work out. And I think that's definitely where Inter are, right? Because you can see it in their transfer policy. Because I mean, they're getting quality, good, for most point now, kind of free players, giving them a good size salary, and kind of bearing the fruits of the results. But then we're going off spending 20, 30 million on specific players, and then kind of hoping that they all pan out. I think Benacer, there's an awful lot of kind of negativity going his way, especially over the last couple of weeks. But I can understand why he's not really at the races yet because he was out for like quite a long time. So
That
him
was a
come.
catastrophic injury, Shane.
No, it was, and if you think about it, like he's essentially playing with all new players around him. And he's playing in a new, like setup that he wouldn't really have played in before. So I think that there has to be an adjustment period there too. It's either that or like you said, Nico, the injury was so bad that it's essentially broken the player. I'd hate to think that that's the possibility, but I mean that could be the situation as well. Maybe he's just lost that extra bit of pace, and he's no longer the same player.
Compromised. He's not. He's compromised, and let's be honest, fellas, wasn't Shane? How many times this season? I think it happened. I think twice. I know where Pioli has put players on the pitch that weren't ready to play. Kalulu, for example. Right? We knew Kalulu. He had some tears in his muscles. He played him, knowing he wasn't fit to play. He gets injured on that game. I forget, it was a while ago too, and he's out for how many months because of Pioli and the staff taking that risk.
Yeah.
But on that, Nico, and this is why I've titled this podcast as the Gambit. This is essentially the actions of someone who's just, doing all in because he probably knows that he doesn't have a future at the club anymore. And this goes back to many pods that we've spoken about this. Why Pioli continues not to be the right person going into this season, and after everything that's happened, keeping him on. We will continue to see this level of behavior, right? Because fuck it, right? I'm probably going to be gone at the end of the season. What do I have to lose? Yeah, my job's essentially not under threat, as opposed to us common folk. When we start to gamble at our jobs, we're probably going to get the sack. So, but it doesn't happen to Pioli. So this is I guess a problem from the management all the way down to how it's
Well,
directing.
yeah, and I get it. We didn't like sacking him mid-season. I kind of go back and forth on this the whole season. Sacking him mid-season probably wouldn't be the best thing because who would be the replacement for Pioli? His assistant coach. Promoting Abeti from Primavera, like some people talked about in the past. There weren't too many options, and and so I think we took that risk. We kept him on. This is where we're at now, and we'll see because there's been so much speculation, so much talk. It was we were talking about Conte months ago. Conte was the hot buzz, right, for taking over. That's cooled off the last few months, right?
But the thing is I couldn't see it ever being a manager of decent quality in terms of like proven quality already, because you'd have to, like, there's going to be a significant paycheck that comes with that, right? Both in terms of the salary for the manager, but also the expectations of players that that manager will bring in. I don't see the
And the
Conte
medical
is
staff.
realistic.
Don't forget that, Shane. The medical staff.
Yeah, man. There's so much lining up. Like, I think now Mata does make sense to me, more so than Conte, because I think he come with cheaper layout. He's shown that he can do good things with a good young squad. But in terms of Conte, though, I don't even think it's realistic, man.
I'm on the same. Mota for me is the ideal choice, and just look at the way they played against Inter yesterday too. The Inter's still playing hard. They haven't given up on the season. Say we're up by 16 points, whatever they are now, 17, and the Inter's still playing hard. And they only beat them 1-0. And from what I didn't see the game, but from a lot of people that I follow on social media, Bologna fans and Inter fans, even Inter fans were saying that was a tough game.
And who does Bologna have? They have players like Alexis Salmakers on the pitch, a guy that we got rid of, and a coach like Mota can actually get some value out of this guy.
Yeah,
Whereas we've upgraded,
Yeah.
and we can't have that level of performance. I'm lost for words sometimes.
Yeah, and even Mota's style of play is way more exciting to me than Pioli.
Oh, Renee. Hey, Renee. Also, hey, and I'm sorry, forgot to give you guys a shout out there earlier. Have we seen the Nice coach? What's the Nice coach's name? Because to be honest, we're linked with so many like weird and wonderful coaches these days. Let me just Google that.
Is that the Italian guy?
Let me see.
There is an Italian coach that coaches in League One in France. I can't remember his name.
Francesco Farioli.
Yeah. He has a good style of play too. But
interesting.
I can see some people saying, well, he doesn't have experience in Syria.
Yeah.
But about this coaching situation, and Nico, I just want to get your insight on this. Yeah. So I would expect, because I watched the first episode for what was it on Amazon Prime? When Conte went to Spurs, and he actually said it in his first meeting. Said, "Okay, I need this guy for this medical team." So he's essentially laying out his backroom team. So if a coach were to come and we're just taking an individual without the team, or maybe with very minor changes to the backroom team, would that actually attract a good coach? Because it's saying that, you can come to a club, but it's just you. We can't take anyone else. Does that seem like an attractive proposition if you are a decent coach? What do you think?
Say that again. You cut out on my end.
Yeah, is that I watched the episode with on Amazon Prime where Conte joined Spurs the first time, yeah,
Right.
And one of the meetings that was actually shown during the episode was that he actually spoke to the owner about his backroom staff, who he wanted and for what reason and all that. But in our case, where I think and I honestly believe that Cardinale or maybe Forlani has a lot of restrictions in terms of what you can demand. That being said, do you think that's enough to attract a high level or a decent coach, knowing
No,
that
because
okay, you can
they
come, but
want more.
it's
They
only
want
you?
more. I mean, Conte's a control freak. He wants certain things.
But his job is
Yeah.
on the line. I mean, it would make sense,
Yeah.
right, for him to choose
I
the right
don't. I
guys.
don't. I would see, it wouldn't attract a big coach like that.
Because he left, I mean, he left Spurs for the same difficulties that he'd be experiencing if he came to us. Lack of perceived investment. You know, the club not taking itself seriously and providing him with good players. I mean, none of this makes sense as to why he come to us. That's interesting. So he did his course and he's modeled himself after De Zerbi. So this is the Nice coach.
The budget De Zerbi, because everyone's speaking about this buyout clause or this release clause that we have to pay if we wanted De Zerbi, which to me doesn't really make much sense. I mean, if you can spend 30 million on a player, why not spend it on the coach? If you can get more results, this is just what I'm thinking.
But
Can we touch on De Zerbi for a second?
Sure.
Personally, I don't want him. He's done great things. I mean, pretty decent stuff with Brighton. I mean, this season's been a struggle the last few months for them. They've dropped points. They've lost in Europa against like Greek teams they shouldn't have lost to at home, and they got smacked 4-0 against Roma the other day. But for me, we have creative players, right? We have Leao, we have Pulisic that like to switch field, like they don't stay in that one position. We see Pulisic drifting over to the middle, to the left. We see Leao drifting over to the other side. We see Theo pushing up, playing with Leao, playing that relationships football, more free type of football that we like to see. De Zerbi, if you noticed, he likes to control where he doesn't give his players that option to be creative, especially on the build-up phase. Like it's choreographed passing. He tells his players, all right, when you have the ball, this is your option, A, B, C. That's it. You're not deviating from that plan. And I don't see De Zerbi. I think he's so stuck in his philosophy and his tactics. He's not willing to change. And even on a lot of EPL podcasts, they talk about this all the time. Because they say De Zerbi is kind of modeling himself after Pep, the way Pep. The difference is with Pep over the years has changed. Pep has a philosophy, but his tactics have changed. He goes, let me change my tactics. Let me give my players a little bit more freedom or change things up with my center backs, my wing backs. But De Zerbi,
and better players.
But that's the difference between a coach like Pep. Besides his quality and his experience, certain coaches they'll change things up if things don't work. Try to keep the other teams guessing, right, in a sense. But with De Zerbi, what I've noticed, and a lot of other people, a lot of EPL fans too, De Zerbi is so stuck in his ways. People have found him out now, right, in Europe, and you're seeing it via the results. And what's to say he's going to come to Milan, and he's going to take that freedom away from Leao and Pulisic. That's not going to work. You're going to tell Leao, don't do this, do this. Leao is a type of player that thinks on his feet.
But Nico, that comes back to the discussion about the ownership and the ambition, right? If the management really feel or the ownership feel that De Zerbi is just going to do better than Pioli in terms of just a little bit further in the Champions League, a little bit further in the league. That might be good enough for them, by the way. Yeah, not good enough because they can't afford or maybe won't want to spend on someone who can win them the league because it costs them money. But just that enough for the books to look good. Give the fans a little bit here and there and say that there's improvement.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of fans like that.
Yeah. All right, guys. So the next one, what we have is actually the Milan Empoli preview. So yeah, thanks again, Shane, for pulling this up. We already have this is the official lineup.
It's official. Yep.
Okay. So quite a few changes. Liao is not there, but yeah, pretty much is a lot of the star team. Uh, I don't know if you consider Calabria a star, but he's there. So what do you think about this lineup, Shane?
Um, so, well, I, I'd love to kind of say why don't we play some of our, some of our maybe not necessarily starting level players, but we've all kind of seen how that's gone. You know, team or players like Salernitana can come and beat us when we try that. So I don't think it's a good idea trying it against Empoli. But to be fair, there should be more than enough in this team. I mean, looking at the midfield, so you have hopefully Benacer does slowly come back online at some point. Adley, it looks like he is kind of learning his role, whatever role that is. I don't even think Pioli knows at this point, but he's looks like he's kind of slowly getting there. It is a joy to watch him when he does. He does seem to kind of make these really precise, clear kind of passes, which is always a joy to see. So there should be more than enough though for this, for this Milan team to be able to beat Empoli. I would like to see Jovic instead of Giroud because I think we can hopefully depend on Jovic enough now at this point that he should be able to come on and we should be able to expect him to be able to score against the likes of Empoli. Outside of that, though, yeah, it's. I mean, I think it's sufficient. Should be more than enough to put this team under. However, we've said this again a couple of times in the past against lesser teams, and we've come up short. So, what do you think about it, Hosni?
Yeah, 15th place Empoli. So the last time we played them is actually a convincing win, 3-0. I had a look in terms of Empoli's play style. They're not doing great in the league, 15th place. So by ranking, it should be an easy swipe to actually push them aside, click the 3 points. But you raised something that I think is right, Shane. Giroud playing these games, I continue to be concerned. Yeah, he's performing above his level considering his age, and we're becoming overly dependent. The moment Giroud goes down, Jovic, then a lot of the fear starts coming back. And I don't know whether a nervous Jovic is suited for any game if Giroud gets injured. Otherwise, we're probably going to have to shuffle that round, and then it might be Okafor as a striker. Then Leao comes back. A bit of a mess on that side. But if you ask me, we should win. We should win convincingly because we did last time. But let's not take this game for granted. How about you, Nico? I mean, hopeful
Yeah, I
for
mean,
this game?
listen, I mean, like you said before, Empoli's what 15th? They're in the bottom of the league. We did beat them 3-0 last time, so that's going in. That's a positive thing, confidence wise for the team. Obviously, like you said, Giroud getting at his age and getting run to the ground, which is typical of Pioli running these players to the ground. I like to see maybe Okafor up there because he's played striker in the past, right, for us. He's actually scored goals. So why not put him up there, right? But I think what it is, I think Pioli, I could be wrong, I'm just speculating. I think Pioli is not adept enough to change the way we play to use a player like Okafor up top as a 9, right? Because Giroud, Jovic, they're kind of different profiles. And Okafor likes to run at people. He's more of your typical modern striker, right? A little shorter than he's not great in aerial duels and stuff like that. So maybe that's the case. I don't know, but Okafor at left wing, I guess, is fine. I guess for the time being. Pulisic, I'd like to see Pulisic maybe take some rest. We don't really need him today. I'd like to see Chucky get in there. Because why do we spend so much money on the kid? And he's just getting that Adley treatment where he's being benched.
On that point, Nico, I did want to ask you based on your experience. So players like Okafor, he is a starter. Red Bull Salzburg, he is a starter. Plays game in and game out, and he played against us and scored. Chakweze, he is a starter when he was where was it from? Valencia, is it? His previous
I
team.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, starter. But then when they come to our club, they seem to be, as you've mentioned, they get this sort of treatment. How does it actually work for players of that caliber? I mean, do you think that they will then underperform? I mean, it must affect them
I
somehow.
don't think underperform it. I think it's all about their mental makeup too, right? Are they mentally prepared to be benched, to be used in the 90th minute in some games, and then occasionally come on? And then if they make a mistake, then Pioli pulls them out, which that's devastating too. You can't expect, if they're not getting consistent minutes, they're going to make mistakes. They're not going to be clicking on all cylinders with their teammates. You got to give them time to kind of develop that chemistry with their other players on the pitch. So I hope Okafor gets the full 90 just to get him out there and get some confidence. I don't want to see Leao coming in the 80th minute to save us. Because then what it tells Okafor? It tells Okafor, for me, says what? Pioli doesn't trust me to try to get the win for us or score a goal late in the game. It's because Okafor, because he was when he was at Red Bull, I think he's the one that broke down Kalulu, right, and scored that goal on us. And if I'm not mistaken, when we were trying to get him, I think Pioli had come out. I think I read something like Pioli he wanted Okafor to come on just because of that performance against us. So you're attracted to this player. You want him to come on your team, but then you're not giving him the minutes he deserves. Or shifting him around. Oh, play striker, play left wing. Those are completely different positions. You gotta settle a player into one position. This is not youth soccer where you can move kids around. Oh, today you play forward today, Billy. Tomorrow you're gonna play, center back because you need the experience at that age, at 13. No, these are professional players. They need to be at their set positions, during the season.
Yeah, Pioli thinks everyone is Krunic. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, Krunic was Army Knife War thinks that you could play Krunic as center back or Musa as a right back. That worked out really well for us during those games.
The good old days when we had one player that could literally play everywhere on the field, and then we let him go to the Turkish league, guys.
He's gonna win the Ballon d'Or, guys, and he's gonna win the league. He left
That's
us to
it.
win the league somewhere else.
That's it. He'd probably be signed for Bologna and ball out next season, and they'll get further than we will in the Champions League.
Hey Phil, so quick thing on Abby. Scott Seven Calcio? You follow him on Twitter? So he shared some stats the other day. He said Adley, the most progressive passing midfielders under 26 years old in the top 5 European leagues with at least 90 minutes played. Adley, second most passes to the final third per 90 at 8.73. So there it is. I bring that up because I think a lot of fans recently have said that Adley's he's not a progressive. He's always passing the ball in the back. He's hasn't improved, but those stats are telling me that hey, he's actually, most of his passes for his age, especially under 26, he's up there with the top 10. He's actually pushing the ball up to the attacking third for us, which is so for me he's improving. I mean, defensively there's still some things they need to work on, but I like him in there. He's probably been consistently one of the better players for us in the midfield for that position.
To be fair, when he's not kind of stuck in that CDM role and he's a bit more forward playing, he seems to be far more functional and exciting. I think where the perception of him being maybe a slightly more conservative player, it's usually when he's just been playing in the CDM position, which isn't really where he has played before anyway, right? So,
All right, hold on, fellas. Hold on, be right back.
Yeah, no problem.
Milan Twitter has joined the chat. No, that's a joke.
But
Yeah, man.
on that point, and I think this is also another testament to in terms of how Pioli runs the team.
Mm-hmm.
Adley is going to take any chance he can get to play. So that's obvious because last season, look at how he's been treated. He knows that chances like that don't come too often. Now maybe he has the trust of Pioli finally, after about a year and a bit. But does that force him into a position that he's not familiar with? I think yes. So it was that game that he actually caused a penalty, and yeah, the goal went in. But overall, I think it's against Udinese, right? The one that we lost.
Yeah.
But you're right. Playing the players in the positions that they are best at works. It's just that CDM role, and we've said it before in the pods. We don't have that replacement, or we don't have that right profile to be that proper CDM.
No, we
So,
don't,
Adley, if
because we
someone asks
got like
who wants to play
three.
CDM, Adley's going to put his hand up. Yeah, there's probably no other position that Pioli would trust him with. So
Fair point.
I think that.
Husney, are we talking about how it came out that Adley lied to Pioli?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
That's how you're going to
Yeah.
get chances. If you stay
Yeah.
honest, you're probably going to end up like Hauger, who was sent to
Can
the
you blame
Primavera.
him? Can you blame him? He's been wanting to play for how long now, that kid? Of course he's
Yeah,
gonna
he stuck
tell
around.
Pioli what he wants to hear.
Yeah, I couldn't blame him, to be honest. I mean, it's highly questionable out of the coach that, he has a player playing for him and he didn't know where that player played in his previous club. It's like, surely I thought a coach would know that information or would ask someone to find out that information.
Well, he has a bunch of analysts. He has a whole team of people behind Pioli. I'm sure
That's
they've
it. There's
told,
someone you can
they-
ask, like.
yeah, I'm sure that somebody's told Pioli, sent him a report saying this is Adley, this is how he played in his previous team. Did Pioli read that report? I don't know.
That's it. Can Pioli read?
That's the question. That's
We
the
don't know.
next segment. Is Pioli literate?
Speaking of the next segment, so we got something new and fun today. Here we go. So there you go. Big lovely thumbnail there for our very own coach Nico, defensive Dynamo. So over to you, Nico.
All right, fellas. So let's pull up that screenshot. Yeah, there we go. So let's break this down. This is really important. All right. So this is expected goals against. This is from I believe Opta Analysts. They're a UK-based group that keeps stats on teams through all the top leagues in Europe. And the really important thing I wanted to kind of break down is open play goals. This is defensively. So Inter's on top, obviously, because they're the top team in Serie A, one of the top teams in Europe. So the shots on goal, how many shots in open play, expected goals, right? So expected goals, just to break it down for people. So expected goals measures the quality of shots based on several variables such as assist type, shot angle, distance from goal, whether it was a headed shot, and whether it was defined as a big chance. Adding up a player's or team's expected goals can give an indication of how many goals a player or team should have scored on average given the shots they have taken. So it takes a lot of things into consideration in these stats, right? This is a fairly new stat, came out maybe, I want to say 2-3 seasons ago. I could be wrong, but a lot of this is a big stat that's being used to determine offensively how good the team is doing on open play and defensively as well. So let's focus on our club, right? Milan. Even though we're third in Serie A, and people, will say we're third place, we're playing well. Look where we're ranked at this grouping here.
Nico, sorry to interrupt you. Some of our subscribers actually are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So if you can just maybe summarize in terms of how the table might look like if they're just listening.
Oh yeah, sure. So the table looks like it's we're going to focus on open play. So the middle, we have the open play. It breaks it down in 3 categories. Shots, how many shots the team has, opposing teams have taken on open play, all right? Then expected goals that I just broke down is the middle column, and you have goals. So Inter let's just break that. Inter has they've allowed 195 goals in open play. Expected goals is the index, the score they were given is 14.1, which is the lowest in Serie A, which is obviously indicates they're really good defensively. They're compact, they communicate really well. They're not giving a lot of open play goals or high quality shots in open play. That tells you with their clean sheets and everything else. And the goals, they've given up 9 goals in 195 shots. Really good numbers. Then you have Juve, second place. They're second, but they're also second in the league. Because I'm bringing up Juve because we're right behind them. They've given up 225 shots in open play. Their score index of expected goals is 14.15, and the total goals is 15. All right, and let's break it down to Milan. Where are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Was it 9th or 10th place? We're 10th ranked in this grouping. So Napoli is ahead of us, and we're right ahead of Lazio. 2 teams that are way lower in the table. Napoli's in 7th place in the league. Lazio is 9th. And we're 3rd, right? And we're grouped in the same category as them. So let's give our stats for Milan. Open play shots, we've given up 261, which is a lot. I mean, Inter's 195, Juve's 225. That's not a good number at all. So, meaning our midfield is not doing its job, and obviously because we don't have the right profiles. We've talked about it before. We don't have a true DM to sit back and kind of be that bulldog in the midfield to recover the balls in the midfield, break up plays, slow down the opposing teams. We're just getting cut up in the midfield. Our open play expected goals is a huge number. We're at 20.63. Inter's at 14.1. Juve's a 14.15. That's a huge number. So we're giving a lot of quality shots on goal. And total goals is 21. All right. And let's break up another number as well. So on that right side is another table, set plays, because we've given up a lot of goals in set plays, right? We gave up 2 against Slavia Praha, and throughout the last 2 seasons, we've given up a lot of goals in set plays from corner kicks, free kicks. We've given up set plays. It breaks it down in 3 categories: set plays shots, set plays goals expected, and set plays goals. We'll compare these numbers against Inter and Juve again. Inter's got 65 set play shots. Expected shots, goals from set plays is 4.07, and set play goals is 2. So they're not giving up too many goals on set plays. Juve, 90 set play shots. Their expected set plays expected goals at 5.44, and set play goals is 4. Now let's go to Milan. So we're right there. We're giving up 99 set play shots. We're giving up a lot of fouls in the attack in our defensive third, which is not good. Just being making mistakes, taking bad fouls. Those yellow cards have been accumulated over the season from our players. Set plays goals expected. Shit. We're at 7.79. Inter's at 4.07. Juve's at 5.44. Our score index at 7.79. That's huge. That's a big difference, right, fellas? And then set play goals, we're at 4. So, these numbers right here between the open play, expected goals, we're at the mid table, right? So we keep comparing ourselves we keep saying, a lot of fans today, we're in third place, we're fine. The big picture is defensively, we're a mess, big time. Especially our midfield. I mean, we can say about our center backs that, we've had issues with our center backs over the season, but our midfield is that shield, and they're not they're not doing their job, because the teams are consistently cutting us through the midfield and getting these really big chances on open plays. We saw it against Slavia Praha this past week. We just talked about it earlier in the segment. That they had really two good opportunities for open plays. They missed them. But again, that's an issue, because teams eventually will finish those shots, will put those balls behind the net.
Yeah, it's almost like they purposely built a completely unbalanced midfield.
Well, Shane, I think what it was, we saw our ownership. This is just a theory that I have and some other fans I've talked to. They saw how we lost against Chelsea in the Champions League, right? They sold Chelsea this super attractive football, fast, aggressive style with not real no tactics, right? That typical EPL style of football, which a lot of people like. And they wanted to build a team like that, being the fact that we got Pulisic, we got Loftus-Cheek, another former Chelsea player, and they modeled that around them, saying, "Oh, we want to build a team like that. That's the way we can be able to compete in the Champions League." It breaks the mold from typical Serie A teams, because Serie A is a much more tactical game, right? Completely. With the low blocks and better defensive teams.
And different refs.
Oh, different. Yeah. Well, the refs in EPL suck too.
Yeah.
They're
Or
horrible
our
too.
VAR that goes on smoke breaks.
Yeah, well, it's an Italian thing. They're getting their smoke breaks and they're drinking their espressos.
But even when you look at it though, how many times, and it's an old adage, but it's very true. It's like, when's the last time someone has won Serie A with a mediocre defense? It just
Never.
doesn't happen. It never happens.
Shane, even the year when I started watching the team, 2006, like really, I got into Milan. We finished fourth, right? I believe, in the table. But if you look at
Sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah, because we barely scroll into the Champions League.
But
and then
if
we
you
went on
remember,
to
yeah,
win
we
it.
did. But our goals for that, I pulled up the numbers the other day, and our defense was still pretty sound. I mean, forget the players. We had different players back then too, completely different players, and Maldini was playing and stuff like that. But we finished fourth. But big picture, we were sound defensively. That's how you win Champions League. That's like when even when Barcelona won La Liga a few seasons ago, last season, they won it based on their defense. And if you look at now, where's Barcelona this year?
Yeah.
Then they're like what, fourth or fifth? Fourth or third? I don't know what they are. Because their defense is
dog walked by Girona.
They dropped the ball because defensively they suck. They're not that good this year. So defense wins championship, that goes for any major sport. It goes for the NBA, it goes for like NFL football. If you want to win championships, you want to win trophies, you need a good defense, and we don't have it at all.
We don't need Moneyball. We don't.
Yeah.
We definitely don't need
We're just
Moneyball.
hoping to score goals. And like, so really quick, so one last thing I wanted to mention as well. So this open play goals expected. Athletic FC they had come out with a podcast recently. They're a British podcast. They're really good guys. So they did a special podcast. They talked about Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man City, who's going to win the league this season, because it's a pretty tight race, right? Going into the last few games of the season. And they talked about Liverpool, their open play goals expected defensively is as close as ours. It's like one of the worst on the top four teams. But where are they sitting at? First place. And why is that? Because on the opposite end, they're scoring a ton of goals. So you can see that we're trying to model ourselves as an EPL team, but we don't have the firepower to score goals and say, yeah, we can score
Or the
goals.
money.
Yeah, we can score 3-4 goals a game, but yeah, so we can be defensively compromised. We're okay with that. Hold on.
Oh, fair
So
points, though.
some good points there. But in terms of the comparison with the EPL teams, it's different. Different league. I think different standards. And of course, the players that we've actually gotten from the EPL are essentially the players that they didn't want. Let's face it. Yeah. So we didn't buy or tempt some of their stars into our team. It's essentially the players that they didn't want. So I
True.
guess that goes to testament that is their B team or the second string guys good enough for our team? If you look at the way Pulisic is playing, then yes, I think that's a fair verdict. But
Sure.
if you want to try and take the first spot on the second star, I think it's going to be more than that. There's going to be
No,
more
we're
than
lacking.
players. It has to be the coaching as well. Do
Yeah.
you agree, Shane?
Oh, totally. I think this, you know, I think it's fitting that you've called it the Gambit, the podcast title. So, I think Pioli has gone out of his way to try and implement something that could have been potentially revolutionary, right? Maybe painted himself as the next Saki, but without kind of realizing at this point that it's not going to really work. And as a result of that, we're, for all of the good things that we do going forward, we're just kind of completely wrecked defensively, and that's why we are where we are. Nathan, hello, how are you?
Hold on, Nathan.
Keep in mind that the game starts now, so
Yeah, I was just popping
yeah.
in just to say what's up.
What's up, man? You all right?
I just woke up.
That's it, man. No, it's good to see you. But so it's so we're just about to kick off against Empoli. We'll have to. So next week, what we'll do as well is we'll do more of a shared invite as well. It was a last minute thing, so for all the people close to us, Nathan included, we're just going to be sure we share out the invites maybe before time, so we can kind of plan it a bit better. But so where are you watching the game, Nathan? You watching it at home?
Yeah, I am. I don't know if you can see. Yeah.
Are you confident we're going to win it?
Yeah.
Tell us the odds, Nathan. Tell us the odds.
Tell us what are the odds, man.
Well,
You gotta.
It would be a fairy tale if Niang scores on us. That'd be kind of hilarious. But I can see us winning at least 2. I'd say it's either going to be something like 2-0 or maybe 3-1 or something like that.
3-1. Who are we going to go for goal scores?
I think Okafor can get a goal today. I would be surprised if Giroud doesn't score. Maybe Giroud might get 2 goals, but I feel like Okafor should be able to get a goal. ROC is a good shout too. He seems to be in pretty good goal scoring form. Anybody know why Gabi is not starting? Is it like an injury or he just wants Chow and Tomori?
I thought he's in the lineup.
No,
he's
in the lineup. Have they changed it? I thought he was in the lineup.
I'm pretty, unless I'm blind, I'm pretty positive that was Chow and Tomori.
And it was. You're correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Never trust never trust the Sky Sports lineup, because that's where I picked the lineup from. So it's Chow and Tomori. Oh my days. Well, this is okay though. It's okay because that should be technically your starting.
For me. I mean, Chow hasn't been in the best form.
True, but he has come back from a long injury though, right?
But him and Tomori have been absolute ass this season, so I don't see why this center back pairing should continue.
I think it's a nice, easy game for him. Keep in mind they were wrecked for most of the season because Pioli couldn't, Pioli didn't understand, game management for these players and decided to basically run them into the ground, right? So hopefully, though, yeah. Hate to cut it short, but I want to watch the game. You people,
Oh no,
is
you're
that
good.
all right?
You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks, Nico. And yeah, we'll be seeing Nico very regularly. And Nathan, yeah, thanks Nico for coming. Sorry for a few
Yep.
minutes towards the end.
So sorry as well,
Shane, as
dude.
always, and everyone else for listening and watching us. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube as well, and also X, Twitter. And if you guys have any questions or comments, yeah, you can drop them there, and be sure to pick them up and include them for the next episode. But yeah, until next week, Forza Milan, everyone, and let's take home the 3 points.
Forza Milan.
Forza Milan.
Italia!